What's up, guys? Getting back into the swing of things after coming back from Hong Kong. Big episode, episode 30, where we will be answering all of your dog behavior questions. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Blake Rodriguez with Dream Come True K9, and this is episode 30 of Dog Behavior Question Tuesday. I have not read through these questions, so we're going to be doing this stuff on the fly. Apologize if I'm a little bit rusty, but we're going to jump right back into the swing of things. I'll introduce everybody that we have here. We have Samson, we have Maxwell, some of the regulars, Soko, Julieta and Vicente. Those are the dogs that you typically see, and then we have some new guys. We have Jerry and Sloan, who are wrapping up their board and train programs pretty soon. If you've been following us on Instagram, Periscope, and Facebook, you're familiar with them and their progress. They're doing fantastic. We also have Leo here, who I assure you he's alive. He's just passed out. You can see very, very less anxious dog. So he's making some really, really big progress. We also have his brother, Jed, who's learning to hang out as well. So they're learning to take direction and listen to each other together, which is very important. I actually just did a Periscope working them, getting them to listen, having one hold a position while I recalled the other, and it went really, really well. We also have Echo here. Echo is almost our newest board and train, or our newest that's been kind of introduced to the show. He is a dog that has, some reactivity, aggression issues, but some major, major anxiety where he's inflicting pain and damaging himself, breaking out of crates. He's chewed through walls when been left in rooms and not crated. He has broken through airline crates, broken through wire crates, hurt himself in the process, chipped and broken teeth. So now he's in one of those steel crates, and the last 2 to 3 nights he's been doing really, really well, learning to get comfortable in his crate and learning how to be around these guys and coexist, which is fantastic. So first question is going to be from Fernie. Hi, big fan of your show. My question is, how do I get my 6-month German Shepherd to walk without the prong collar? He does very well with the prong collar, but he knows that the problem is not, if he knows that the problem is not, if the prong is not on, he gets crazy. What should I do in this situation? Please help me out, bro. That's a great question. I think the big thing with any tool that you're using is you have to make sure that the tool is helping to power up or empower you, right? If I'm using a remote collar, I'm usually using that to help bring relevance and awareness to the clear communication that my leash is giving. My leash is an extension of my arm, so I'm making sure that that's clear and my body movement is clear. If you have a dog that's behaving really, really well with the prong and then acting nutty without it, you're relying too much on the tool to be what's fixing the problem. So you want to get the dog more in the habit of kind of walking that way, so having the collar on more, and you want to do it in a way where you're not just using it as correction based, where the dog is like, all right, this thing is on, and I know when this is on, I have to behave myself. That's not the demeanor that you're trying to you're trying to establish or create with your dog. So I would say use it more. Start to use it more. What's the word I'm looking for? More in a variety of different ways. Have that be like a regular thing, more of like a lifestyle, and don't just put the tool on when it's time to train, when it's time to behave. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that that's staying consistent. So I would work on making sure your leash pressure is much clearer, so you're not relying on this tool, and you're really, really getting that smooth, and the leash is following your body language. So everything's an extension of you. Make sure you're using the tool to help empower you and not be what's fixing the problem, because that's probably your issue there. There's a couple of good videos by Tyler Muto, who is a colleague of mine who I do workshops with, and he has a yield to me, follow me video, a how to use a prong collar video, and you got to get your dog smoother on the collar for sure. So You want to use it more way before you get off of it. That's how you're gonna get the dog to be in a better place. If you're only using it in some situations, the dog is not getting enough of the habit. Next question is from Geektard. Hi Blake, hope you had a great time in Hong Kong. I did, thank you. I recently noticed that my dog still has problems with impulse control. He doesn't react when I do some fast movements or hasty movements, and he is good at holding place, but as soon as my boyfriend, hey, place. Back. Nope, good. Sit. Stop. Down. Down. Hey. Good. You need to tap more. What's up? Yeah, he got a little nervous with that dude. So that's a good practice. He tried to avoid that situation. But when your boyfriend does those movements, your dog charges him to play a bit rough. Okay, so here's the thing. You have a hard time practicing a problem because you live in another city, and he behaves great with me when you do the exercises. So you gotta order more takeout and delivery, maybe, so people can come in. When your boyfriend comes or a friend comes, you need to be able to interrupt and stop the charge. So your dog needs to, hey, down. Down. Andrew, tap. Good. Good. I forgot that I have this here. Yeah, I have a remote here. But he really got spooked. You see him like kind of, that's where follow through is super important. It's a softer dog, but he's also stronger in a way where he's like, okay, what happens if I stay here? Do you kind of stop with your direction or do you follow through? The more you follow through, the less of a period that becomes. You know, this is the difference between dog tricks and dog obedience. He has no problem doing these commands, but in a situation where he might not want to because he's spooked, you have to understand as the dog that you need to do this whether you want to or not because it's for your own benefit, right? And that's real world dog training. Okay, you gotta set your dog up with a leash and a long line where your timing will interrupt the charge and make yourself a choice. If the dog listens to you up until he sees your boyfriend, then what happens is you get put on the back burner. When you're on the back burner, you're not a priority, you're not middle name relevant. So you have to make yourself a choice that when your dog is, let's say, in the middle of looking at your boyfriend and he's gonna go and you say something, he doesn't basically flip you off and keep going. When you do that and he's getting ready to go, you say something, whether it's with a leash and he gets your attention or with remote and he knows remote comes to you and he goes, oh, now I have to focus on you, but and then you interrupt again where he's like, I have to focus on you, and then you're soft and you're like, relax. You make yourself an option that is clear for him and easier for him to focus more on than the other distraction, which in this case is your boyfriend. You have to set yourself up with tools that when you say something, you follow through and you are successful, period, right? That's very, very important. Otherwise, your dog will realize, okay, I can listen to you, but if I choose not to, I don't have to. Like, there's no follow through, there's no need, you don't mean what you say. It's entirely up to me whether I make this choice or not, right? And in the early stages, it's not up to them until they're responsible enough to make those choices more frequently. Liz Henderson, what's up? Long time no see. Hi Blake, what's the best way to react when coming home to a mess your dog made? Ripped up papers, somehow opening cabinets and trash everywhere. Side note, crating them while we're gone is not an option. The first thing that I'm gonna ask you is why is crating not an option, right? Here's the thing. My dog was crate trained. He's not in a crate anymore, right? I don't want my dog to be bound to a crate forever. There's no problem with it if that's your choice, if you're using it responsibly. But what the crate does when you're away is it helps to build habits. Crate is a habit shaper, right? When you have a dog that is practicing doing proper things and holding place and basically having these behaviors while you're around and the mistakes are only happening when you're gone, you need a babysitter. You need someone that's gonna implement the rules while you're away. If your dog has the freedom to do whatever they want and they're not responsible enough to have that freedom yet, you have to take that away from them. Crating is the option. If you cannot do that, you need to confine your dog to a smaller area. And the dog has to learn how to relax there. Because ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to start in a small area where you're forcing them to learn this choice and this habit. This is what you do. And eventually you give them more and more space. And you're like, hey, if that's a habit you learn to get comfortable with, you have the whole place, but learn how to make that choice. Your dog has too many options. So it's a mixture of like puppy proofing, but at the same time, like teaching your dog a habit. Make sure like your dog doesn't have the mindset to look for stuff, but there's nothing to look for, so then they finally settle. Like you want to find kind of like that balance, right? It's really, really important. The crate helps to shape the habit of relaxation. The dog that is behaving themselves when you're gone is the dog that's not running around the house during a party. The dog that's behaving themselves is doing pretty much what you see here, whether it's voluntary or you're telling them to kind of do that. Dogs sleep over 60% of their life. They're not throwing ragers while you're gone, I assure you. The only dogs that are doing that are the dogs that are getting into trouble, right? What's up?
The only dogs that are doing that is hers.
The only dogs that are throwing parties while you're gone is yours, yeah. Victor, hey Blake, I have 2 English Cocker Spaniels from the same litter, and they're a year old. They play together and know some basic commands, but sometimes they get into this mode and start fighting a lot. About 2 months ago, they fought 3 to 4 times a day, but now they only do it once a week. How can I make this go away forever? Thanks, Blake, you're the best. What's up, Victor? I've been noticing you on here and some other social media platforms. I think Facebook, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I think you sent in a friend request also. I'm gonna accept that next time I hop on Facebook. Okay, here's the thing. If dogs are getting into fights, there's a couple things you have to look at. They're in a position where they have too much responsibility to make choices and say that they have a say amongst each other, and they're not responsible enough for that yet. That's the same theme that every question is kind of, that's been the answer, right? But here's the thing. You need to make sure that your dogs are not pushy and possessive-like, where if a dog's kind of drinking water, the other one kind of pushes in, and then that one tries to correct. You want to make sure the one that tries to correct, which is kind of in the right, understands that that's not his responsibility and his choice, and that is your responsibility and choice to do. So they know they get corrected for doing that, and you also interrupt the one that thinks he can kind of just do that, if that's happening. Another thing you look at is like play. If dogs are playing, you have to monitor levels of play. If they're getting to a point where things are getting excited, or all of a sudden there's a toy involved and that's when fights or something, there's some trigger that's allowing that. And you have to make that your responsibility so that you can, in the beginning, micromanage it to the point where you can manage good behavior and let them start making choices on their own, where you start taking less and less of a role. So you have to become more relevant, and you have to see those moments where your relevance might slip away. Like you might not be in a position where a dog is going to listen to you if this continues, so you interrupt it before it gets to that point. And little by little, you work your way up to, it doesn't matter what they're doing. I'm relevant enough that when I say something, they know everything else is on hold, and they're taking direction. That's middle name relevance, and that goes into like associating sounds and cues with tools and spatial pressure and how you work your dog and your dogs in other areas. All that stuff is important. Everything is like the wax on, wax off to having the perfectly balanced dog. Right? Cyber, what's up, man? It's good to see you engaging here. Another college buddy. Hey, Blake, I have a 7-month-old, half husky, half Brittany, and when we take him for walks, he pulls all the time. I've been trying to get him to walk with us more. He's getting big enough where I don't want him pulling my girlfriend to the ground, or you, whether you have the muscles for it or not. Any suggestions? Yes, a lot of suggestions. There is a lot of videos that we do on these Dog Behavior Question Tuesday episodes, as well as Periscope. We archive all our Periscope, which are live sessions, on catch.me, katch.me. There's also a couple of YouTube videos that we have where we're explaining this. But a colleague of mine, Tyler Muto, Tylermuto, we do have a video coming out where I've done some leash pressure stuff if Andrew ever gets around to editing it. But Tyler has some good videos out where he explains the tool of the prong collar, even though it's a scary looking tool, how to use it properly, and the type of prong collar that we use, which is a Herm Springer, understanding not how to use that from a okay, the pulling is getting better, but use it to really teach leash communication, which is very, very important. I'll do a quick demo right now for you. You need to get your dog softer on the leash. That's very, very, very important. So you might have to back up a little there. If I take this guy here, now here's the thing. I can walk him, I'll stay in this area. I can walk him on a slip lead and he'll be very, very smooth. I still walk him on a prong collar, not because I need it, but communication is much softer and clearer for him, and it's much easier for me. So it's like, I've said this before, sure I can drive a car without power steering, but why would I? Sure I can take the steps to the 9th floor, but if there's an elevator, like, why would I take the steps unless I'm like, I really think I'm out of shape or something, right? Like there's no incentive to it. There's no reason for it. So with something like this, what you're really looking for, I'm gonna have him face this way. If he's in a SIT, and I'm gonna spell it so that you know that if I'm saying it, he's not doing it because of the word, or he's in a DOWN, he knows one thing for sure. Well, he knows a lot of things, but when he feels nothing, pressure-wise, tension-wise, you're doing a great job. When you feel pressure, you, the dog, has the ability to shut pressure off at any time that you want simply by walking toward it. So I have one finger on the leash. This is a dog that used to pull. My dog used to pull me, right? When he's not even looking at me, he's looking over there. Pressure goes on, right here, pressure comes off. So with this type of smooth drive like a Porsche language, you'll see anywhere the leash goes, his nose follows. That's really what you want. So the concept is when he comes this way, you give the leash back, right? If I'm putting him into an SIT, when I feel him giving, the leash pressure shuts off. So it's not this crank, yank, and jerk stuff, but it's really teaching how to be fluid in your movement. So I can get him to sit. I can say, wow, Cyver, I haven't seen you in forever, man. How's the family? How are the kids? And I can put him into an SIT just off of leash pressure and still hold a conversation with you, right? So you need to get your dog good on leash pressure. The prong collar is an awesome tool when done right to teach you how to do that. You want to make sure that your pressure is not going back because a dog cannot turn this way. When you're using leash pressure, the goal is to have the head, more specifically the nose, follow the leash, right? So if this comes out this way, in the beginning, you might want to be on the other side of that leash so you can start to create this, right? If I want to get him behind me, you can start to do all of these things very, very smooth and fluidly. You need to teach your dog leash pressure. It is a game changer. That way, when it gets to the point that you do need to correct, your dog is already familiar with the language. So it's a pressure on, pressure off. When your pressure is going on, it's specifically asking for something. You want to make sure the direction of your pressure and your height is suggesting where you want the dog to go. You also want to make sure that, what was I going to say here? That the timing of when your pressure comes off right there is marking a specific behavior that you like in your dog. Pressure shouldn't be coming off when you want to do this and he's pulling and you know what I mean? Like, so you want to make sure you mark that. So anyway, Tyler Mito has a really good video, one called Conversational Leash Work, which is a great video. He also has 1 or 2 part videos for how to use a prong collar. And that would be my suggestion to you. So the spelling for that is Tyler, Tyler, Muto, Muto. All right, so definitely check that out, buddy. I think that will be exactly what you are looking for and need. Herm Sprenger is the prong collar. There's a lot of different generic prong collars. Herm Sprenger for sure. Hi there, Blake. I have a 1-year-old lab who I've been trying to teach leave it, but haven't had much success. Was wondering if you have any suggestions on how to teach this command. I do. Down. Nope. I do actually, but down. Good. The first thing I'm gonna go ahead and say is before you challenge a dog, I've done this before. I'm gonna do a periscope on this because we have to teach the out command to Echo as well as Sloan. So I'm gonna do a periscope that breaks this down, but I'm gonna talk about it here. So our periscope is Dream Come True Canine. It's an app on your phone. We do it live. We do a bunch of them. You can engage Q&A. You can heart away throughout. But basically what you want to teach is you want to get a dog really, really good on leash pressure. That's a must, everything that I just covered, right? Once you have a dog good on leash pressure, you want to get a dog that has food drive, that works really well for food. You want to make sure that you're working on some, down. Good job. You want to make sure that you're working on recall. When the dog is doing something, you can call your dog off. They come to you, pressure comes off. So you're basically calling your dog off even if you're moving away with just leash, right? Your dog knows in the middle of doing something, it feels something, that's becoming priority. So you're teaching a dog how to let something go. You don't want to do it for a ball or anything just yet. You want to do it for something that they can't take everything with. So food is the way to go. They can't take the bowl with them, right? When that gets really, really good, the next step is the same pressure that you use, whether it's with a remote collar and a leash. I know it's a little bit advanced right now to get the dog to come to you. You're basically having that leash pressure, remote pressure, and your spatial pressure step into the dog when you say out, and then your body moves. Prior to teaching the word out or leave it, your dog is already doing the behavior so that by the time you start associating the word, you associate the word and then you do it. You associate the word, then you do it. You associate the word, then you do it. And it has to be enough for them to kind of back away. If you're using food, you actually want to give them something of higher value food-wise so that they get happy to make the choice. Oh, this person just said out, or sorry, leave it. This person just said leave it. I drop, and then they're happy to make that choice. So you start getting more enthusiasm with how they do it. The thing that I don't like, down. So this is actually more important for this guy, not because the down's important, but because he's stubborn in other areas, so I follow through here. This is very important. You don't use leave it throughout your life where you're telling your dog to leave it for everything. If your dog is concerned, correct your dog for being like overly concerned and interrupt that, right? Like you want to make sure you're using leave it or out for the right things, not becoming like like a leave it whore, where like every time you're walking, your dog is over here, you're like, leave it, there's something, leave it, leave it, leave it. If my friend was a professional boxer and we were walking down the street and we were passing people, I assure you I wouldn't have to constantly tell my friend, don't hit him, don't punch him, don't hit him, don't punch him. It's like you should know better. So make sure you don't become that type of leave it person. That's the one problem that I have with the command itself. The command itself isn't bad, but usually leave it is taught that way. So now you have dogs that like throughout their entire life are told leave it, and in their mind they're like, yeah, he or she said that this time. Wait till the one time she doesn't say leave it, I'm coming after you. Or wait till the one time they don't say leave it, I'm going for this tissue or this piece of paper. The dog should already know better, and then you kind of use the word if you need it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. You don't want your dog to be on edge waiting for the day that you don't say leave it. Trisha, hi Blake, how do you deal with a huge dog who is reactive to other dogs, not in an aggressive way, but in an overly excited, wants to meet kind of way? My dog will bark, whine, pull when he sees another dog, and it's really hard to regain his attention or drag him away because he's so much bigger than me. He's on a prong and e-collar, thanks so much. Loved your Hong Kong periscopes with Meatball. Okay. Every periscope we covers this. You got to teach your dog impulse control. So right now you're struggling in like the heat of the moment. The heat of the moment is the big test. You need to do more studying and more practicing elsewhere. Your dog's got to know, down. You see the lack of I follow through, but I didn't need to go all the way to do it. So that's already the progress because now I'm starting to mean what I say, right? Your dog has to learn impulse control basic from a dog trick point of view, and then start applying those triggers with other things that your dog might be concerned with. It's the same thing. You're allowing concern and whine and anxiety, a form of stress, because your dog doesn't have enough practice doing that in other situations. So when you ask them to do it, they don't even know what the heck you're asking them for, right? Down. Good. And then if I want to keep the message for down, he gets it one more time, I'm going to be firmer. I said that, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not interested in a physical game of, okay, I listened to you, now I'm back up. Oh, I listened to you, now I'm back up. That's not what I'm interested in right now. I'm telling you down because I want you to stay there, right? So we'll see how that goes. So that's really important. You have to work on impulse control, right? And another thing that you're doing is you have to work on ignoring your dog's initial impulse or disagreeing with your dog's initial impulse. That's when he wants to say hi and jump on you, when someone comes to the door and he just wants to say hi before he settles. Start interrupting those things, because if you always give your dog what they want, they always get what they want, and it's not a big deal. Oh, I just want to make him happy. I always want to give my dog what it wants. When the time comes that you can't, the dog has a meltdown because you've never practiced that with them before, right? So it's very important that he doesn't meet every dog that he sees. It's very important that from a distance he can see a dog, and with leash and remote, you can walk away without his butt or his hip kind of facing that way, and he can start to learn to kind of follow you very softly. All of those things that we talk about all the time is the wax on, wax off. You have to see it as like the big picture, right? You're practicing that when you're very adamant or like strict with all those little things, right? Jewel, hey Blake, thank you for your help with my last couple questions. I need help with the rate at which my 2-year-old German Shepherd responds to her commands. Her tricks are usually not a problem to get her to do unless it's a simple, or if it's a simple command like sit her down. She'll either stand there like she has no idea what I'm saying, or waits a few seconds before she does it, but it's slow as a snail. Of course, she'll be listening better for a treat or a ball, although she starts to panic and offer any behavior. So, okay, so you have a dog that's not focusing, right? Work your dog for their food more. Slow things down. Have your dog do it, release marker. Have your dog do it, release marker. Have your dog do it, release marker. The only way they get it is the food. So you start getting a dog that's flying, right? Flying to do that. We've done a lot of videos on that, on Periscope and on Dog Behavior Question Tuesday as well. So look back through those. But after you're doing that, you want to really start slowing things down so you can get the speed, but then you can slow it down good, and you can get a dog working. Your dog there's no motivation. You don't work your dog for food enough. You work your dog for treats, right? So when it's treat time, let's go. If they're used to regularly working for their food, you'll see more of an enthusiastic drive, right? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, stop making the motivation so predictable. It should be like, I'm working towards like a care package, and not I'm working towards the food in your hand, or I know you only have a ball, I don't want to play right now.
So how do you suggest doing that? So basically okay, so this is what you got to do. Yeah, so you're weaning off. So Andrew said stop making the food and the motivation so reliable. The dog knows that you have it. Now he wants to work, right? The dog only wants to hang out with you because you promised him if he came out or if she came out, you pay for her drinks. Come on, really come out. I'll give you $100 if you just hang out with me. So it's not a genuine relationship. So work your dog for their meals more. Every day, every day, every day, every day. And then little by little, start to have them do a couple things before they get the food. And then go back to every meal, everyone. Then a couple more commands without the food, then food. And then just go back. So you're slowly diminishing. And then the end goal is you're going to come in here, it's time to work. I might not have food on me that you're aware of, and then food comes out. Or the food might be over here. You're going to do these things, and then I'm going to go over there and get food. So the food doesn't always have to be attached to you, right? Little things like that. So the dog starts learning to focus with you, because what Andrew said, it's a care package. You don't know what you're going to get and when you're going to get it. It's like slot machines. You're addicted to slot machines because you know there's a probability that you're going to win. People that play slot machines all the time don't win regularly. They don't win anything. But because they want a little bit, oh, there's a possibility. So you want to create that type of like drive, right? Iron Shamrock. Hey Blake, so here's a weird one. My dog has been doing great with the place command, but recently the house cats have been running up to her when she's in place and hissing, swatting, thus breaking place and running away. At first I thought it was my dog intensely staring at my cat when he walked near her, but I've watched and my dog is chewing on an Nylabone, minding her business when this happens. Any idea what to do? Yeah, correct your cats, right? I mean, like, advocate for your dog. You're asking your dog to do something really, really like tough, and you're asking him to do it while like a dog is like doing this to it all the time and just like nagging it. And I'm not gonna go like too crazy, but it's just like, I'm trying to sleep. Why are you trying to disrupt me, right? So shoo your cats away. Your cats, you got to teach your cats to know better. I'm not a cat trainer, so I don't know how to do that. But yeah, help your dog be successful. You know what I mean? That's of course, if your dog is like trying to relax and then he's being pestered, he's gonna swat and break place because no one's doing anything for this cat. He's making the right choice by moving away, because if that builds up long enough, it could be, listen, I'm not moving and you're in my way. snap and beat it, and then someone's gonna learn a lesson. Either the cat's gonna be really fast and it's gonna hurt the dog, or your dog's gonna really hurt the cat. You know what I mean? So don't let it get to that point. You're the one that's in charge there. Carlo, hey man, what's up? When you work with the dog, place down, eye contact, etc., with food, then you work those commands out on the center street or in the middle of the street. If the dog doesn't feel motivated with the food, if the dog doesn't pay attention to you, how do you work on that? So that ties into what I was asking before. I typically don't use food out on the street, but I build a habit that's so strong, so regular when I'm asking for things. I make sure that through working for food, I get my leash pressure better. Through working for food, I make them aware that when I'm moving food, my body's moving a certain way. I make them aware and mindful of my body. Through that, I make them aware of the remote collar sensation and my verbal cues and tones. So everything becomes automatic. That way, when I jump out into the field and I don't have food on me, I have all the other tools that you already know and you're already conditioned to, right? And that's really, there's no trick to it, but you have to go from dog tricks to dog obedience, where it's like, I mean what I say, and it's fair because you know what to do, you know how to do it, you're successful, but now I'm telling you to do this, something that you're successful at whether you want to or not, because I know what's best. It's not a negotiation. This is what we're doing, right? That's how you're gonna help your dog. Make sure the dog knows those tools first, right? That's pretty much it. Guys, big episode, the big 3-0. My birthday is on the 11th of March, and I turned the big 3-0, right? So I think I'm gonna go a little crazy. I'm gonna buy like a sports car or a motorcycle, have a little bit of a midlife crisis or something, get into a fight at a bar maybe, prove that I still got it. Who knows what I'm gonna do, but big 3-0s going all around. 30 is the new 20 apparently. I'm not promoting that until I turn 30, then it's the truth. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on episode 31 next week.